Global and regional economic governance platforms such as APEC are geared towards averting conflict. But whatever plans we may have for our countries, for our economies, those will come to naught unless they are within the context of peace in the region and in the world. In the political context, the way to earn trust is to perform. And the best politics, I always say, the best politics is performance, because it's something that cannot be taken away from you, and it is something that actually makes a difference in people's lives.
From the nation's capital, all sides, all the time, I'm Edwin Gao. The big story tonight. President Bongbong Marcos holds a bilateral meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the 29th APEC Summit. Let's get the details from Shaila Francisco, who's reporting to us live from Bangkok, Thailand. Shaila, what do we know so far?
Bob, based on the latest social media post by President Bongbong Marcos, his bilateral meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping has already begun. This is his first bilateral meeting with his Chinese counterpart, and they are expected to touch on the West Philippine Sea issue. President Marcos earlier said it may be inevitable to discuss the West Philippine Sea issue with China. Marcos is expected to be accompanied by cabinet secretaries from the DFA and DTI, as well as House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Romualdez says economic issues and improving trade and investment relations will be among the top priorities. As for the West Philippine Sea issue, Romualdez says that if this will be discussed, it may not go as far as the arbitral ruling, since it was raised already in the ASEAN Summit last week. Romualdez also belied claims that a visit of U.S. President Kamala Harris in Palawan next week may sour relations with the two countries. He says, if anything, this may show that Philippines is playing a key role in making sure there is a balanced presence in the region. Prior to the bilateral meeting, President Marcos met with the Thai conglomerate CP Group, which showed interest to invest more in the country's agriculture sector. He also spoke before businessmen at the APEC CEO Summit to discuss problems hounding the economies in the region. He cites food security, climate change, and emergence of new health diseases as threats to the economy. Buck, as of now, we don't have any details yet regarding what transpired at the meeting, but we are expecting that after the bilateral meeting, both leaders are expected to attend the APEC Economic Leaders Gala dinner, and tomorrow will be a busy day for President Bongbong Marcos. He's set to attend the APEC Leaders Retreat. He is also set to have bilateral meetings with certain countries. Buck?
And thank you for those updates. That was Shaila Francisco reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. And here to give us his insights on President Bongbong Marcos' bilateral meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, we have with us on the show Dr. Romel Banlawi, President of the Philippine Society for Intelligence and Security Studies. Sir, magandang gabi and welcome to The Big Story.
Good evening, Ed. Good evening to all.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us tonight. Of course, sir, we do expect economic issues to be the main subject of the meeting with Xi Jinping. However, sabi nga ng Pangulo, inevitable na mababanggit o mapag-uusapan ang West Philippine Sea. But what exactly can we expect out of this bilateral meeting, and how far could they possibly go?
Well, as far as I am concerned, I don't expect too much from this bilateral meeting because it is just a very brief meeting between President Marcos and President Xi Jinping. So maybe it's just mentioning the West Philippine Sea to be the key agenda of bilateral talks between the Philippines and China when President Marcos visits China in January. And what I expect during their bilateral meeting is just to size up each other, create a positive vibe and strengthen confidence-building measure in order to provide a more conducive condition for the two leaders to meet in January when President Marcos conducts his first state visit to China. So
yes,
I don't expect too much from this bilateral meeting, but this is very important meeting because the two leaders can set the tone of their discussions for the official visit in January, and they can properly frame the issues that the two countries need to tackle in order to strengthen their bilateral ties amidst the changing security situation in the region. And earlier, President Marcos already delivered a strong message that under his administration, he wants Philippines-China relations to shift to a higher gear. So let's see how high can these bilateral relations reach under the two leaders.
So I like how you put it, sizing up each other, though you don't expect that much for today, but they're sizing up each other. But you also pointed out that this would set the tone for whatever future discussions there may be, including what would happen in January. But what kind of a tone would we expect, or should we expect, that the two leaders can at least agree on?
Well, I expect a more positive and optimistic tone because of the deliberate intention of the Philippine government not to mention the International Arbitral Tribunal, because that issue is in fact an issue for China. China made it clear already that as far as the international arbitration case is concerned, China is not following the decision of the arbitration. It does not subscribe with the process of the arbitration and will not abide by the decision of the arbitration. So that's very clear with President Xi Jinping. So, but I think the two leaders will reiterate the long-standing positions of the two countries, that they will not allow the South China Sea disputes to define the overall nature of bilateral relations between the two countries. So the South China Sea is just one aspect of their bilateral relations. So I think President Xi Jinping will stress the need for the two countries to revisit his plan for the Philippines, and that is to pursue comprehensive strategic cooperation. It means that cooperating in various fields like economic, agriculture, technology, political, people-to-people diplomacy, and the West Philippine Sea is just one aspect of this comprehensive relationship between the two countries. So let's see how President Marcos will buy that kind of narrative from President Xi Jinping.
Of course, sir, that's true that there's more to Philippine-China relations than the West Philippine Sea. Of course, we're talking about the economy as well and a lot of other things as well. But as you also pointed out, China from the very start has said that, non-negotiable yung kanilang position dun sa arbitral ruling. So even at that point, how does one move forward in terms of the West Philippine Sea?
I think there is now a common understanding between the two countries, and I also assume between the two leaders, that when it comes to the West Philippine Sea, in order to move the two countries forward in promoting cooperation, they will set aside the issue of territorial sovereignty and work for joint development. We call that the Deng Xiaoping formula. That is to set aside the disputes and pursue pragmatic cooperation or joint development in the South China Sea. So I expect that kind of discussion to prevail between the two leaders. And I also agree with that kind of formula, because the South China Sea disputes are composed of two major disputes, territorial disputes and marine jurisdictional disputes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And in the area of marine jurisdictional disputes, the two countries can do a lot of things to really cooperate, and that has already been discussed in the various meetings of the bilateral consultative mechanisms in the South China Sea between the two countries. So let's see if they will revive the agenda of the bilateral consultative meeting, agenda to pursue cooperation in the field of political security cooperation, joint fishery management cooperation, marine environmental research, marine environmental protection, search and rescue operations, and the most sensitive is the joint development of natural gas and oil. So these are the things that the two leaders should reflect on, and how they can move forward in order to really pursue more actionable and more concrete cooperative undertakings.
Okay, maraming salamat, Dr. Romel Banlawi, the President of the Philippine Society for Intelligence and Security Studies. Thank you, sir. And after the break, Senators Rafi Tulfo and Villar engage in a heated exchange over the supposed conversion of agricultural lands into residential and commercial areas. We'll look into that and more when the big story returns. Keep it here in One News.
The recent breakdown of crypto exchange FTX.com has a lot of folks questioning not just what went wrong, but why it happened so fast in the first place. In a word,
You're watching The Big Story here on One News. I'm Robbie Alampay. Senators Rafi Tulfo and Villar got into a heated exchange over the conversion of farmlands into subdivisions and other non-agricultural uses. Camille Samonte with a report.
Lumilit po ang ating farmland. Binibili po ng mga malalaking developer at ginagawang commercial at residential land. Ano pong ginagawa ng DA tungkol dito?
This was Senator Rafi Tulfo's inquiry during budget deliberations of the Agriculture Department. Tulfo pointed out that some developers are taking advantage of farmers who are forced to sell their lands due to financial problems. As the sponsor of the DA's budget, Senator Villar claimed that property developers do not buy lands from far provinces because they are not as profitable as those located near the cities or town capitals. Villar's family is known to be engaged in the real estate and retail industries.
We only buy in cities and capital towns because the buyer of houses, they want also an opportunity that if they're having financial problems, they can resell their houses.
But Tulfo argued he has evidence to prove that farmlands in his hometown in Cauayan, Isabela have been converted into subdivisions.
Sorry po, madam, ha? Na hindi lang po sa Cauayan, sa Isabela, kundi sa marami pong mga probinsya na marami na po mga subdivision na nagsilipa na.
Where will the people live if you don't build subdivisions?
Marami po mga lugar na pwede pong pagtayuan ng subdivision. Huwag lang po i-take over yung mga farms.
Tulfo also mentioned the rice certification law, which he claims pushes farmers to sell their lands due to tight financial conditions. But Villar, who authored the law, insisted that it was also able to help rice farmers by giving back to them the taxes collected from the measure.
I have no guilt to any rice farmers.
I'm not
All
saying-
the money that came from the rice tarification
I'm not saying po
were
na kayo po'y
given
guilty.
back to the rice farmers.
In line with this, Tulfo urged Congress to approve the National Land Use Act. The bill, which is one of President Marcos' priority measures, is seen to address indiscriminate conversion of agriculture lands into commercial use, which in turn impacts food security.
4 na presidente na po ang dumaan at hindi pa rin po ito mapasa-pasa. Hindi ko po alam kung bakit.
The power of determining the implementation of the land use is with the local government. Why will you remove it from the local government and transfer it to the national government? Do you think that is better?
It is better po na dapat sa national government ang humawak po nitong batas na National
Not
Land Use Act.
everybody agrees with you.
Well, not everybody
Ako,
agrees
I
with you
don't
as well, ma'am.
agree.
Motion is approved. Thank you, Mr.
Senate President Mig Zubir suspended the session amid the continued heated debate. Upon the resumption, Tulfo apologized over the matter. He then ended his interpellation and said he will just deliver a privileged speech on the National Land Use Act. For News 5, Camille Samonte, We Are One News.
The Bureau of Corrections is set to investigate the presence of several farm and exotic animals inside the new Bilibid prison. Jenny Dongon with the story.
After the discovery of various contraband and unauthorized excavation, authorities have now discovered animals within the new Bilibid prison grounds that may have been smuggled in. These include horses, chickens, and pythons. Bureau of Corrections Acting Director General Gregorio Catapang himself made the discovery.
Para talikod na ako, biglang tumilahok yung mga manok. Ay, sabi ko, may manok rin pala dito. Nag-aalaga pala kayo ng manok. Sige nga, tignan ko nga. Pagpunta ko, kanya-kanyang kubul yung manok. Mga panabong pala, Texas.
When asked about the owner of the animals, inmates had this to say.
Kaya nino yung mga bahay na yan?
Ano, dalawang tao yan, sir.
Kanina?
Sa Chaclag. Chaclag? Bantag.
In a text message, former Bucor spokesperson Gabriel Chaclag said that some of these animals belong to him, but he denied asking prisoners to take care of them. Suspended Bucor Chief Gerald Bantag also confirmed that he owns some of the horses. However, he explained that they are also for patrolling purposes.
Ito ay pattern sa Canadian Mounted Police. Kung i-research mo yan, mga policeman na nagpapatrol na kakabayo. Kasi itong NBP reservation napakaluwag. So napag-isipan namin mag-training sila para sa Bucor Mounted Patrol.
Bantag also slammed Catapang for supposedly fabricating issues against him.
Yung kabayo nagdadamo, pero si Catapang nagdadamo ng marijuana yata. Tanim alang, lahat, tanim kubol, tanim kabayo. Ano yan, kabayo? Pati kabayo. Nababaliw na talaga sila, no?
Catapang, for his part, vowed to launch an investigation into the matter. For News 5, Jenny Dongon, We Are One News.
And to discuss the latest on the Percy Lapid case from the side of alleged mastermind Gerald Bantag, we have his legal counsel, Attorney Rocky Balisong. Magandang gabi, Attorney Balisong, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Yes, good evening po, Robbie and Ed.
Yes, sir. Sir, of course, we do want to talk about yung preliminary investigation next week. Pero before that, atras ako ng konti. Kasi in one interview with our channel, ang sabi ni Director Bantag, susurrender naman siya kung sakaling meron ng warrant of arrest. Pero may iba siyang kondisyon na binitawan. Hindi ko lang alam kung gaano kaseryoso yun. Number 1, kailangan daw bumitaw o bumitiw si Secretary Remulla. At number 2, kailangan daw mag-drug test si Secretary Remulla. How serious was that condition? In other words, kung sakali lang lumabas ang arrest warrant galing sa matapos yung PI, kung sakali lang lumabas ang arrest warrant, siya ba yung magsusurrender o hindi po?
Well, on the part of the lawyer, no, sa legal team, alam nyo, maraming legal remedies dyan. Kaya hindi ibig sabihin na pag lumabas yung warrant, kulong kaagad. There are legal remedies on how to stop the implementation of the warrant. Of course, he will cooperate in the legal processes. But equally, he will also avail of those legal remedies provided for by law.
Meaning, sir, you will question the warrant. Pero what I mean is, are you looking at, for example, the Ping Lacson formula, where Ping Lacson said na so long as meron namang pending motion, hindi kailangan sumurrender?
Marami pong yan. I-assess namin yan sa legal team, no? Depende. Of course, first and foremost, ang tinitignan namin is yung interest ng aming client, no? We have to protect our client. So, in the legal process, of course.
Speaking of cooperating, attorney, in the meantime, saan po ba tayo tumatay when it comes to the subpoena for General Bantag? Natanggap na po ba to? And are there any problems in actually receiving it?
Actually, hindi pa natatanggap. Nakita lang namin sa news accounts na it was served sa last known address. And accordingly, this is from the media na sinabi ng DOJ na it is deemed served. Ang problema lang nakikita ko dyan, pwede yun na it deemed served sa last known address niya. Pero first, sino bang nag-provide ng last known address niya? Second, assuming na yun nga yung last known address niya, bakit hindi iniwanan yung subpoena sa gate ng bahay o kaya doon sa barangay? Kasi yun naman ang ginawa nila kay Solueta. Binigay nila sa address ni Solueta, inipit sa kanyang gate. When they can do it sa residence ni Solueta, why can't they do it kay General Bantag? So yun ang isang question doon. So as of now, hindi pa namin nare-receive yung subpoena at saka yung mga attachments.
Ano po exactly ang problema doon po sa last known na address dito po sa Caloocan?
Kasi nga, yun nga, kung yun ang alam nilang last known address, bakit hindi nila iniwan yung subpoena? That should have been the process. Kagaya nga na ginawa nila kay Solueta, last known address niya, Pandibulacan, inipit yung subpoena together with the attachments. Bakit hindi ginawa kay General Bantag?
In the meantime,
kung ginawa nila yun, kung iniwan nila yun sa Caloocan, wala na sanang problema eh. Deemed served nga, sinasabi ng DOJ. Kaya bakit iba ang treatment sa isang respondent, iba naman ang treatment kay General Bantag.
In the meantime po, lampasan po natin yung address mismo. Where is General Bantag? Is there any problem to actually finding him, and is he open to just coming out and receiving it?
No, that's not the process. May proseso kasi ang DOJ dyan. May sinusundan silang proseso. Kaya nga kung i-serve nila sa address, di okay. Kung i-serve nila personally, because as much as possible, subpoena should be served personally to the respondents, no? So kung alam nila kung saan yung respondent, ang ginawa ng DOJ first is find the last known address, doon nila sinerve. Tapos wala yung tao. Dapat ang ginawa, iniwan doon sa gate ng bahay, and then gagawa ng return yung process server na iniwan niya doon. So it is considered served or deemed served. O kaya iniwan nila sa barangay at gagawa sila ng return na deemed served. Ganun dapat.
Sige, maraming salamat po, Attorney Rocky Balisong, Legal Counsel for Suspended Corrections Chief Gerald Bantag. More stories after the break. Keep it here on One News.
The beginning of the end of the war. Of course, you see our strong army. We are step by step coming to our country, to all the temporary occupied territories. And of course, it's a pity, but it's a long way, difficult way, because this war took the best heroes of our country. And so, but for us, it's very understandable. We don't believe Russia, yes, and they are tricking with all the world. That's why we are going forward. We're ready for peace, but our peace for our country is all our country, all our territory. We respect the law and respect respect sovereignty of all the countries, but now we are speaking about our countries. That's why we are fighting against Russian aggression. The HIMARS, you know, that is high level of the level what we have from our partners, and we are really thankful for Joe Biden and for Congress and for all support. Not only USA, you understand that all Europe help us too very much. So thank you very much. All this victory is possible when all the world is around Ukraine, around our country. So thank you again.
Sustainability, resilience, and security. So many big global issues that today's leaders are facing. We're here in Singapore for the New Economy Forum to talk through some of these issues and try to come up with some solutions.
First and foremost at the top of the list is the cost of food and energy globally. How on earth do we bring that down? Is there a way to relieve the pressure that countries in the emerging markets feel because the currencies are so weak against the US dollar and it costs them that much more to buy food and energy that's in short supply? Number two, I would say, is the rising tension level between the United States.
You're still watching The Big Story here on One News. Malfunctioning RFID readers caused a monstrous traffic jam along the Skyway during rush hour this morning.
But even without such incidents, traffic authorities warn commuters to brace for heavier traffic as the holidays draw near. Gerard de la Peña with the details.
Thousands of motorists passing through the Skyway were stuck in traffic during the peak of morning rush hour. The tail end of the traffic reached the South Luzon Expressway. The culprit, malfunctioning RFID readers at the Skyway's toll plazas.
Nag-breakdown po yung telco provider dito sa Skyway at saka NAIA-X. Yung telco provider po ay isang mahalagang component po yan ng RFID.
The Toll Regulatory Board has asked the Skyway management to just raise the barriers so that vehicles can freely pass. SMC Infrastructure, which manages the Skyway, said the network outage was due to a cut in its fiber optic network, which may have been caused by a vehicular accident. Skyway's operations went back to normal at past 1 p.m. The company said some 84,000 vehicles were affected. Those who saw deductions in their RFID accounts will receive refunds. But even without such incidents, motorists should brace themselves for heavier traffic as Christmas draws near. On November 10, the MMDA saw 398,000 cars along EDSA, pretty much the same as before the pandemic hit. This could swell by as much as 10 to 20% in the coming weeks.
At ang nakikita talaga namin ay ang may influx of people is really surrounding the mall areas po.
As early as now, the MMDA has put measures in place to avoid traffic jams, like deploying more traffic enforcers along major roads. The MMDA has also deferred the decommissioning of the Magsaysay Bridge to ensure that traffic will be smooth sailing going to the University Belt. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, we are One News.
With Disney Plus, Pinoy viewers can now gain access to binge-worthy content from Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and many more. Subscribers can choose between two subscription plans, a mobile plan that costs 159 pesos monthly or 1,150 pesos yearly, or a premium plan at 369 pesos monthly or 2,950 pesos yearly. Blackpink in your area. Live Nation PH has finally released the ticket prices and seat plan for the K-pop supergroup Blackpink's upcoming concert. The Born Pink concert will be held at the Philippine Arena on March 24 and 26. Tickets range from 3,000 pesos to as much as 19,450 pesos. Vroom, 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 vroom. When we pull up, you know. Blinks who will avail of the priciest ticket would be given extra perks, including sound check access. Ticket selling starts tomorrow for those with Blink membership. Meanwhile, general sales starts on November 20.
Ngayong Sabado, November 19.
Be prepared to swoon and shout as kapatid stars are gearing up for an explosive mall show in Bulacan. This serves as the culmination of the Signal Entertainment Showbiz Caravan. The show will be held on November 19 at Star Mall San Jose del Monte, Bulacan. Don't miss the amazing performances of kapatid stars from Singaling, Suntok sa Buwan, Kalye Queens, and Oh My Corona. For those who can't attend the event, Signal Entertainment will also host a virtual show at Now Zending Kids. For News 5, MJ Marfori, we are One News.
And that's a big story tonight. For more updates, follow News 5, the Philippine Star and Business World online. You may also log on to onenews.ph for more in-depth analysis. I'm Ed Lingao.
The big story is also available via Signal Play. Make a free account now at signalplay.com and stream One News anytime, anywhere. I'm Robbie Alampay. Stay safe, Philippines. We are One News, all sides, all the time.